Okay, record on. Okay, it is now 5. Let's start the class. So again, we're gonna start, like last time, we're gonna start by looking over everybody's homework. So this screen that has a piece of paper with red characters on it. I'm going to looking at your guys' homework from there. But before I start actually looking at your guys' homework, I just want to emphasize a little bit of what the homework is. So let's take a look at what we have last class, okay? So last class we finished with the human body. We talked about the human body. We talked about posing. And then we talked about dynamic posing. We talked about being able to push the body into a sort of an action, a line of action, or expressing body languages, okay? Expressing emotions through body language and things like that. And then we did a line of motion exercise where you guys had to take a line that I given you and then draw action or a pose that follows this line of action. And then we looked at facial expressions, and then all kinds of facial expressions, and then the characteristics of different facial expressions, right? Of what will generally happen when you're happy, when you're angry, when you're sad, when you're disgusted, or when you're fearful, or when you're surprised. And then we left off. I left you guys with this homework. And also this homework, I said here, come up with a pose and a facial expression. With a pose and a facial expression, they both have to fit one of these prompts that I've given you, okay? Not just the expression, not just the pose, but both. And then I told you guys to take into everything that we've learned so far, take it into account, take it into, the dynamic motion, the emotions of body language, and also the line of action. Take it into account to do this homework. And then some of you guys did really well. Okay, you did, find an interesting pose and added on an interesting expression. And then overall, I could tell pretty clearly that what the situation is and what the supposed expression is. However,
I have a question.
Yes?
I didn't choose one from your list. Is that okay?
I prefer if next time you would follow the instructions, but for now, I'll look at it as well, yeah.
Because I missed the class, so I had to watch the recording and I wasn't sure.
Okay, that's fine. I'll look at it. Just next time, make sure that you do follow the instructions, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, so some of you guys did a good job, and then I could tell what the supposed expression is by looking at the pose and the facial expressions, but some of you guys kind of missed the point. You kind of drew a really stiff pose. You didn't follow the instructions of making it a dynamic pose, making it an interesting pose. And then I have to really look at it to tell what this expression that you're trying to express through the drawing is. So that's something, that I think a point that you guys might want to consider and then look into. So now I'm going to get into marking your guys' homework. So turn your attention to here. Okay, so this is the stuff that I've received on WeChat. So I'm going to start with this. And then if you guys didn't turn your homework in yet, you guys can still do it now into the WeChat group, and then I'll look at it. So I'll start with this one. This one you did ask me if you can draw a comic strip, and then I said no, but then you ended up adding dialogue still, which is fine, okay, which is fine. But we're hoping for this one, the story is expressed through the image. But overall, I think it's pretty well done. You even added 2 characters. Both poses are well done. This person follows a line of action, kind of a C curve like this. And then this one has a slight tilt in her body as well. And then I can tell that she drank vodka and then she's drunk. So that's nice. And then you add expressions to it. And then I think overall it's really well done. But there are still a few things that you can improve upon. So one thing is this arm. it looks kind of unnatural. So for in this case, I suggest you actually posing it yourself in front of a mirror and looking at it. So if a person is here and then maybe he's trying to either avoid her, kind of avoiding her with his elbow up, or like maybe trying to pet her or something like that. And then that's not how I would draw the arm. First off, I will raise the shoulder a little bit higher. It might create kind of an overlap with the head, because right now it looks like the neck is here and then the shoulder kind of attaches here and then it's a little weird. Okay, and then I will raise the shoulder a little higher. The shoulder joint should be around here. And then the hand would actually, I think the hand will be raised, but it will still be pointing down, kind of like drawing a simplified version, kind of like this angle instead of going up like that. And then over here, so for the elbow, this one where the armpit is, it's starting a little high, so maybe lower it a little. And then over here, there's the bicep muscle, and then it comes down straight into there. Okay. Going a little bit overboard with the clothing folds. We can talk about that a little later. But yeah, overall, good job. Okay, next one. This one, your mom broke your favorite toy. I can tell, and then the expression is really good too. One thing is for this one, I still suggest to you guys to try to follow realistic human proportions. And then this one is kind of leaning on like a proportion of a little kid, which is fine. Which is fine. It's just that if you didn't intend on it being a kid, this is what it looks like. It looks like it's a little kid. The pose is nice. There's a little curve in the body like this, and then that's nice. And then it looks like he's holding his hat here. Is what I'm getting. It's kind of mournful, and it's nice. The face. One thing is the face is at an angle, so the face is looking down, right? The face is looking down, and then when the face is kind of like a ball, and then like this, and then when the face is looking down, let me reset. So usually when we draw a face, the eyes will be lining up on this line, and then the nose and etc. And then because the head is a kind of a ball-like, sphere-like surface, when you're looking down, your eyes kind of follow this line. And then over here, if I connect the eyes, they're still kind of in a straight line. And then, so we kind of want to force the eyes in another angle. Like this, that follows kind of a downward curve, like that, okay? And also pay a little bit more attention to where the elbow is. It's kind of unclear here. But overall, still well done, good job. Okay, for this one I can tell that it's, you got 100% on the test and you're really happy. And then it's generally like I could tell what the expression is, which is good, but there are still quite a lot of problems. For example, the neck is very, very big compared to the rest of the body. The neck should be, judging by how big your body is, the neck should be around this size. And then it should stop around here. And then right now it's very huge. Okay, the shoulders are here and here. And then another thing is with the posing in this one, it's very straight up and down. It's very stiff and symmetrical. And then I prefer if you try to push it. This pose is fine, but maybe even looking at it from another angle, or looking at it from the side, from a 3/4 view, it might help you deliver the pose better instead of just being a very stiff up and down line. And then watch the proportions still. Just even when you're moving the body, still try to watch the proportions of how big each part is. And then still think of the body as a 3D thing. Don't think of it as like a 2D puppet made from pieces of paper that you're just moving around, okay? Okay, this one is you found a stinky dead rat in your room. One thing is, again, this pose is very straight up and down. And then I could tell that you're trying to put kind of a backwards lean in the body, which is good. Like when you're seeing something really gross and you don't want to get near it, you do tend to lean back, and then your head and your body wants to avoid it. And then we can push it more. Don't be scared to push the pose a little more. Okay, we can totally make the pose like a line of action like this. And then right now your line of action is still very straight up and down. And then watch the proportions. the hand and the feet is very small. So again, the feet is around from your forearm, from your wrist to your elbow. It's kind of how big your forearm is. That's a little note. And then also the chest, the highest part of the chest is higher. The waist is here. The elbow is ending at the waist, which is not bad. And then, but if I extend the elbow and the forearm, your overall arm should end with your fingers should end around here. And then your arm is too small as well. Same with the hands. The hand, if you put your hand to your face, you take your hand to your face. The hand usually just covers your face. So it should be around your hand, all stretched, it should be around that size, okay? And then this one, you dropped your ice cream cone, and then I suppose that you're sad about it. A few problems, hand too small, same problem as before, feet too small. And then still think of the body as a structure. There is you added kind of a line of action here, but it's not really a line of action. If I were to look at it, I still think it's very straight up and down. A line of motion, you really want to extend it through the entire body. So right now you kind of have a tiny tilt in the head, and that's not enough. We want to push it. We want to push the pose a little more. Watch the thickness of your upper arm and your forearm. And then the length of it, this arm is longer than this one. If you put it down, you'll notice that if I rotate around this pivot point, it only reaches around here while this hand reaches around here. Okay, so watch that. And also, even if the character is wearing clothing, you still want to think about what the character looks like naked underneath the clothing first. Okay, you have to think about it while you're drawing the clothing, or even draw it out before you add on the shirts and the pants and things like that. So then you're missing a waist in the body. And then the leg, there is no big gap like this in between your legs. Your legs kind of, this is your pelvis. Your leg kind of just extends right from here. Okay, there's no really big gap. And then same with the expression. The expression, if I were to just look at it, I can't tell. I can't tell. Is he sad? Is he happy? Is he disappointed? I can't tell. Okay, this one, because of the prop here, I could tell that she's drunk. But if I get rid of that, again, I can't tell. I can't tell the emotion and I can't tell the expression. Make sure you have the eyebrows. The eyebrows are a really expressive part of the face. Some people can move their eyebrows a lot. And then we specifically talked about the direction of the eyebrows in last class when we were looking at the facial expressions. So when you're drawing the face, and then even when you're doing character design, sometimes something just looks really wrong. And then it might just be because you didn't draw the eyebrows. Again, focus on the proportions. Even when you're drawing a skirt, when you're drawing clothing, think about what it looks like underneath. So for example, right now, if I were to extend the leg, extend the waist, and have it attached to the legs, there's no hips. You don't have the width of the hips. And then over here, it's just attaching really weird, okay? That'll be the shape of the body and how the legs are attached. And that's just really weird. So something that if you can't imagine it while you're drawing it, imagine what the naked body looks like while you're drawing it. Draw the naked body first and then add on the clothing. That might be helpful. And also neck, again, think of the neck. The neck is a part of the body. Yes, it's attached to the body, attached to the spinal cord. It is the spinal cord, the bone at the back. But still, just for our purposes, for now, think of it as a separate unit. Think of it as a little cylinder, okay? Think of it as like a cup, a mug. Like, think of it as like something like a mug, all right? Instead of a little like plateau kind of thing like that. Think of it as a cylinder. And your shoulders, your shoulder joints are here. It is here where your shoulders bend around. It doesn't, you don't have the shoulders here and then it goes down and then at somewhere here it bends, okay? It's bending at the shoulders. And then right now you have your shoulders here and then it drops down. And then somewhere here, mysteriously, you've broken this bone and then you're bending the elbow. Hand is a little small still. And then draw the full body. For this one, the feet is cut off. Draw the full body. Again, the pose is very straight up and down. There's no line of action in it. If she's leaning towards the wall, if she's leaning at something, if she's leaning on something, the weight of her body should lean towards this side. So it's very easy to actually add a line of motion. Make her body lean this way. Add a type of motion that leans this way. Okay, this one is really well done. However, click the wrong thing. However, so the prompt is seeing a spider, right? And then I'm guessing this girl actually likes spiders, which is fine. And then the pose is nice. And then overall, the body proportions are really, really well done. A few things, feet is a little small compared to, say, the elbow. Both feet is a little small. The structure is well considered. However, the expression, if she really likes spiders, then I think her facial expressions can be pushed a little more. She could be a little more happy, or if she thinks spiders are really cute and cuddly, she could like smile, maybe express more of that.
I think she's more curious than happy to see it.
Curious, then have that too. Have a questioning look. Basically, right now the expression I can't really read. If I isolate it, I can't really read what she's trying to express. Right? Is she happy? Is she curious? Is she feeling soft? Is she feeling warm? Is she feeling sad? Is she feeling scared? I can't, like, it's kind of like in between, and I think you can push it more. But overall, good job. The neck is a little thin. For the way you're drawing the body, the neck, right now the neck is like this, right? Neck is kind of like that. And then still also think of it as a cylinder. And right now it's kind of like a little cylinder like this. Ear is a little small. Still overall, really good job. Okay, for this one, you put a lot of effort into it, you even colored it. And then you did, there is a kind of a C curve in the body.
So actually, after I put it in the chat, I realized that my arm was too small.
Yes.
So
the next one.
So can you use the
Okay. I'll talk about this one. So yeah, you put a lot of effort into it. There is a C curve in the body, kind of. I think you can push it a little more because right now, like it's kind of a little far stretched to see say that it's a C curve. It's kind of like it's not really a curve like this, right? So the upper body, if you isolate that, it still looks really straight. And then the bottom half is still like just two single units, kind of like scissors. So I think you add a bit of more of a curve in the body because the body is a soft thing. Like people dance, you know, the bones curve around. It is quite a soft thing, especially through your spinal cord, your entire spinal cord. From the side, it looks like an S shape, like this, and then attaches to your pelvis. Here's your rib cage. So I think you add more of a curvature in it. The expression, you can push it a little more. So your eyes, you can have the iris smaller. One eyebrow could be down, even pushing into the eye, the other raised higher. And then I see where you're taking with it. I just think that you can take it a little further. I think also the head size is really small if you were to measure it. So she's almost 9 heads tall. So I think the head could be a little bigger. And then the elbow, the forearm, in your previous one, the forearm was too small. And now you change it to be bigger, which is right. But now I think the upper arm is a little too big. Okay, this one, the expression is actually pretty, it's kind of nice. It's kind of well done. It's straight ahead. Straight ahead, so you'd wonder what's straight ahead. And then for this one, it would be nice if you could put in a scene where we can look at what she's staring at. Still, it's kind of a cartoony figure. The proportions, it's quite exaggerated, so the head is really big, right? And then as of now, like this is fine, but as of now, I prefer, for this assignment, I did ask you guys to try and maintain realistic human proportions. So expression is exaggerated, you're taking it pretty far. And then I could tell that, you know, she's scared. She's looking at something that she's really scared. The pose is very straight up and down. Like for this one, again, I think for this one, like there could have been a backwards tilt in her body. She could be leaning back a little. Or like she maybe could have one foot forward and one foot backwards. And then it might be easier for you to express that if you drew it at a different angle instead of just straight ahead. The body is a 3D thing. You can look at it from different angles. You can rotate it. The knee joint is how the knee works, okay? So this is your one leg. This is one leg. When you go to the knee, and then the knee is actually a really, like a surprisingly big thing. It doesn't actually pinch in. It doesn't actually get really small around the knee because it's actually a pretty big joint. And then you have your 2 ankles here. And then your foot here. So your knee is over here. You have a very big bone. It's the biggest bone in your body. Attaching to here. And then it's thinner here, and over these are the muscles. It attaches to here. And then you have a kneecap on top of that. And then behind the kneecap and connecting to the bone, you have your tibia, which goes to here. And there's a little fibula bone that goes to here. So over here, it's actually quite a big joint. It doesn't actually pinch in, okay, for the knee. Well, it's a common tendency to pinch in at the joint areas, but it doesn't actually do that. Take a look at your leg in the mirror, or even also take a look at your elbow. So some people pinch in your elbow at where it bends, but it actually doesn't. So extend your arm straight ahead, and then you'll find that, see where your elbow is? It's actually really wide because you have a bone there. You have 2 bones attaching there. Oh, talked about this one. Okay, so this one you dropped your ice cream. And then I could tell that you can add a C curve in the body if you just push it a little more this way. Maybe push the body leaning a bit that way, and then this leg a little like this, and then this one, maybe kick it a little higher. And then it could have been a pose that has a lot of dynamics in it, but right now it's still very up and down. That's one thing. This arm is a lot bigger than this arm. Keep it consistent. The facial expressions, if I zoom in, you do have the eyebrows going downwards. I think you can have it a little more. Like actually force it down into the eye a little. Because when your eyebrow is facing down, it goes, like the back of your eyebrow moves a little less than the front of your eyebrows. If you try to move your eyebrows around looking at yourself in the mirror, the back of your eyebrows does move, but it's mostly like this entire muscle part that kind of pushes down and pushes in. So we could have it pushing into the eye if you were to draw the eye like that. And then the mouth too. You can have it wider open. The jaw drops. Okay. When your mouth opens, it doesn't open upwards. Like when you think that you're biting down on something, you're actually not biting down on something, you're biting up because your skull is like this. This is your skull. And then you have, your teeth here. This is from the side, your eye socket. And then you have your mandible, which is your jaw. That's a separate piece attaching like this. And then it's actually, this is the pivot point, and then it's actually your jaw that moves up and down. So when you open your mouth, it's your jaw that goes down, not your mouth that goes up. It's the lower part of your mouth that drops down. Okay, for this one, I could tell from the prop that you got 100% from on the test. But if I take away that prop, I can't tell how she's feeling or what she's doing at all. The pose is very straight up and down. If I zoom into expressions, the hand is kind of covering the face. I can't tell from her eyes and eyebrows what she's feeling. Ears small. I can't tell from the pose what she's feeling. Okay, is she happy? Is she surprised? What is it? Is she sad even? I can't tell from there. All right. Also, arm is generally a little short. If her waist is here, her elbow should be a little longer. This one could also be a little longer. If I rotate it around this pivot point, the hand is reaching around here. We want that hand to be reaching around here. For this one, I'd suppose that it's fear, I think. first off, you can go back to my video and then maybe reference how to draw a side profile. So this is, drawing the eye like this is a common like anime, I guess, cartoon thing. But what it actually is actually, so you have your eye, you have your eyebrows, and then you have like this wrinkly thing that basically marks your eye socket. So when like cartoons draw the eye like this, it's actually just pushing all three things together. So you have your eyebrows pushing down, you have your eyes squinting into a line, and then you form a wrinkle here. And then it's simplified into this shape. So that's actually what it's expressing. Okay, and then right now you have that, and then you have your eyebrows on top. That's actually raised really high. And then that's you're kind of reaching a confusing expression. Right now you are dropping the jaw down, which is good. And fix the shape of the mouth a little like that. And then try to go back to reference how to draw a side profile to maybe take a better look. You're missing a large chunk of the back of the head. So the head is, when you look at it from the side, this is the head portion, and then ear, and then this is the face portion. And then right now your entire head is mostly the face. You're missing like the back of the head portion, the part that allows you to have hair and hold your brain in like that. And then overall the head is still too big for the body. Take a look at how big the torso is. The pose is creative in the sense that she's curling up, right? She's hanging onto something, and then she's kind of curling up her body. You have two of the same feet. Okay, this one, I'm guessing it's because of the prop, it's her getting almost ran over by a car. Again, I can't tell from the pose at all that she was in shock or that she almost got ran over. Maybe she tried to avoid the car. Maybe she's leaning backwards. Maybe she has like one leg forward, one leg back because she just avoided. Like that. Maybe her heart is pounding really hard and then she's holding on to it with both hands. And then right now it's very straight up and down. I can't tell at all what she's feeling or sensing or the situation she's in just looking at her pose. And even if I zoom into the expression, I can't really tell what she's feeling. She kind of has like a little piece of sweat here. But again, take away that, what do we have? Right? Again, when you're drawing clothing, try to think about what the naked body looks like. So if I were to extend it, the leg is not starting at the right place. Okay, this one, also try to draw the entire body, try to fit it in. If you're drawing too big and then your hand doesn't fit, extend the canvas a little or make your drawing a little smaller and then draw the entire body. This one there is a nice little C curve in the body, which is good. Right, nice little C curve, and then you have your body open when you're happy. You're kind of relaxed, so then you let your front of your body kind of open to the world because you're not scared of any threats. And then that's a sign of happiness, which is good. You can push it a little more, the C curve, a little more. Overall, the pose is nice. The facial expressions, first off, when you're winking, your eye actually kind of, like when you're winking, some people can't really wink. Winking is a little hard. So instead of actually one eye being closed down, it's actually like one eye being forced open and another eye kind of being pushed up with your face like this. So it's not like a really relaxed thing, just closing your eyes. And then like, I guess winking, I don't know, it's kind of show-offy. I personally wouldn't wink after I'm really happy and got 100% on the test, but I guess that's just personal preference. Neck is a little thin and it's a little too forward. And also, you're also missing the head portion of the head. Like your head is mostly just the face, and draw the ears. Okay, always draw the ears. Same with the eyebrows. Make sure you draw the ears. Knee is here. Lower leg is a little small. check the proportions a bit. Okay, this one is also, you got 100% on the test, and then you're happy. And then there's a slight little C curve in the body that I can see that you're trying to do. One thing is your canvas is, okay, first things first, okay, your canvas is really big. You have so much space that you could fill with this drawing. And this is a little small, even in digital. In digital, it's even easier to fix this thing, right? You can just select it and then make it bigger. Okay, and so like just draw bigger. And then I can tell that you're trying to put a little C curve in the body. And now what's a better way to make the C curve more obvious? It is to actually look at the body from another angle. Maybe look at it from a 3/4 view, like that. And also when you're jumping in happiness, this is kind of like jumping down from a cliff into a swimming pool kind of thing, like into a lake kind of pose. I personally wouldn't, like when you're jumping out of happiness, I personally wouldn't jump kind of facing this way. That's just a little suggestion. And that's also, I guess, a personal preference. If you got 100% on the test and then you're jumping like this, that's fine, I guess. Okay, draw from like a 3/4 angle, and then that might help carry out your pose better. And there'll be a little bit foreshortening. The lower leg is way too long compared to upper leg. If the upper leg starts here, again, when you're wearing clothing, still try to think about it. What she looks like with just her body as a structure or like naked. And then this way, her lower leg is really long. And then take a look at the hand. When you're extending outwards, I don't know if you can also see my video, your hand is facing front. You don't really turn your hand facing back. And I think your hand is facing back because the thumb is on this side, which means that the hand is facing backwards. And then we want it to face the front. Okay, the thumb should be on this side. Oh. Okay, again, there's a slight C curve in it. Could do more, like even more depressed. And the same with the facial expressions, could be even more depressed. And then like, when your eyes are wide open, like this, you're kind of in shock. And then like, if you were to express shock, then this is fine. But then if you were to express shock, you could push the eye a little more. But if you were to express sadness, and especially sadness at looking at something that is down on the ground, you kind of want your eyes to be pointing down. This is more sad than this one, right? Take a look at your body expressions. Proportions. Same thing with clothing. If you were to cover something with hair, think about what it would look like before the hair is covering it. If you were to compare these two elbows, this one is bigger than that one. And then right now, her entire body, you can have a C curve in it, but right now her entire body is kind of like falling this way. Something I said about posing in the first class is that your body is balanced when your head, the center of your head is in between. If you draw a straight line down, it's in between your legs. So if you were to draw a C curve, bring the legs a little forward too, so we can still keep the body more balanced. So this one, nice pose, nice drawing. Probably look at some references, and that's totally fine. Still pretty straight up and down. Expression, could push it a little more. Right now, I guess she's just calm. But again, this is an exercise that I want you guys to do a little more with body expressions and facial expressions rather than just calm. Hand is a little small. I want to make the waist a little smaller, and then right now the legs are really, really big in the sense that they're really thick. Okay, this one. So you're extending out the body, extending out one arm. You have your test here. You can fold it over a corner to show that it's 100%. There's a slight C curve. Again, you can push it more. Make sure that when you're bending, there are overlaps. Look in the mirror when your elbow bends. When you bend your elbow, your forearm becomes in front of it. This will look like she has like a really squishy kind of joint, a really squishy kind of joint that's bending like this. When in reality, it's only at one point that the joint is bending. They're of different sizes. Head looks a little small. This one, head is a little small. Nice curve in the body. However, like what is she standing on or what is she balancing on? Because right now, is she jumping? It's a bit unclear with the pose. Even if she's leaning backwards, like right now it looks like because her two legs, they still look kind of planted. It looks like you just have the floor at this angle. Like you're kind of shooting the image at an angle. You should be looking at it like this. And then in that sense, it's still pretty up and down, straight up and down pose. So consider that. I can't really tell exactly what is she doing, okay? There is, you can push the C curve more. There's a little C curve. Head is a little small. Pelvis, for a female, it's a little not wide enough. Could be wider. And then if this is the center of the body, try to anatomical center of the body, measuring down here and then measuring up here. I think the leg's a bit short as well. Okay, this one is nice. It's a good example of actually drawing the body and the structures first before you add on the clothing. And that's a good thing to do. Compared to two arms, they're of different sizes. Okay, for this one, expression I could tell that she's sad. You can, again, push it a little more. For the pose, I can't tell. Pose is very straight up and down. It's not very dynamic. And then her eyes, even though the ice cream dropped here, even though the ice cream dropped here, she's kind of staring forward at the camera. Notice, try to pay more attention, just like generally to everybody, try to pay more attention to eye direction. It's really important. It's a really big storytelling device of where the eye is looking at. And then body proportions, head is too big, obviously. There's a lot of things wrong with it. Leg is too short comparing to it. Still try to take note of expression. Body proportions. And this one is also eating fruit. And kind of pretty cute pose. Generally well done. Again, same as the previous one of eating watermelon. You can have the expressions a little bit, push it a little bit more. This one looks a bit more happy and cheery. This one looks pretty cute. But we can still push it more. And then don't forget, even if you're drawing stuff to cover it, don't forget where the neck is, because right now it looks like the shoulders are kind of extending directly to the chin, right over here. And then if that is the neck, no, that's the hair. Yeah, just if something is covering something like clothing, like hair, like another prop, still make sure you know where the body is overall. Try to pay a little more attention to what the feet looks like. When your leg is bending, again, it's a pretty big bone here. Two pretty big bone attaching here. So when your leg is bending, the joint here is actually pretty big. For this one is your mom broke your favorite toy. So if you exclude the head and just look at the body is very muscular. But if you add the head, the head size makes it overall look like a little kid. So it's like one really muscular little kid. Yeah, pay a little bit more attention to that. Like if you want it to be a little kid, because it's a toy, that the mom broke, then maybe take a look at, you know, the muscle structure or bone structure on a little kid. And then you'll notice that little kids generally don't have a lot of muscles. They're kind of squishy. And then like they're either like kind of chubby, round chubby with more fat content, or they're just really skinny and bony. They usually don't have that much muscles in their body. The ankle is very tiny. Try to draw the hand, even if it's hard, at least try to draw it. There's a little more, if there's a little curve in the body, I think you can push it more. And then if this leg is here and it's bending that way, and then it's at the back, you will be able to see the feet here. Okay, let's see, any more? Anyone sent in any more? If not, then we're gonna move on with the class. Oh, I did get one more. Okay, so this one thing is pose. It's basically just a standing pose. There's no movement in it. Like there's not even like an arm raised. So honestly, try to pose it because that's the whole point of the exercise. And also eyebrows and expressions, okay? You're kind of missing the point of this assignment just for this. And then because you just sent it in like right before class, I can't even tell you to redo it. So listen carefully, try to see what the point of the assignment is. And then next time when you do it, call the point of the assignment. And then we're trying to, that's the learning outcomes that we're trying to achieve. All right, I think this is the last one. Give you guys 1 more minute to send in stuff. If not, then we're gonna move on with our lesson today. So today we want to talk about character design. Let's go into the PowerPoint here. Okay, so going over again, last class, we learned the basics of human anatomy. We learned facial and body expressions. And then what we basically learned is we learned the rules that we follow for a correct, anatomically correct body, the rules for an anatomically correct face. Like generally the rules that you follow when you're trying to draw something as close as possible to the general human figure. And then right now, after we learn the rules, this class is designing, which is we're taking the rules that we learned and then we're trying to twist it. We're trying to make character designs. We're trying to bend it into cartoonish or different types of characters and shapes, and then that are used for anime, for comics, for animation, things like that. We're trying to make design. So right now I have some examples over here, and then you'll notice these are basically taking the rules and then they're shifting it. Okay, this is adult human body, but you know, they're making the feet small, they're making the legs longer, and then the neck shorter, and making the general body pretty skinny, and also pushing the face structure a bit. And then that will be a character design here. This one is a character design for a little kid. The head is even bigger than a realistic little kid. Okay, and then also with the eyes and the expressions, the nose, and things like that. We're twisting it based on the rules that we learned from a realistic human figure. And then this one here, this one is closer. This one is more of an anime style. It's a little bit closer to a realistic figure, but still they're making the head a little bigger, and then they're making the waist smaller, the general body pretty skinny, etc., etc. So first, before you start designing a character, you have to consider your purpose. What is this character for? Is it for a story? If it is for a story, what is the design that is appropriate for the story? So for example, what is the time period the story is set in? Is it in modern time? Is it in the future? Is it in a historical era? Is it fantasy? Is it in a completely different universe? Things like that. And also you'll have to consider what is the target audience for the story? What is their age? What is the demographic that you're trying to appeal to? it would be kind of weird if you saw the design for Iron Man in a show for, you know, little kids like Teletubby. If you see Aaron, the design of Iron Man in Teletubby, it would be kind of weird. Same as vice versa. If it's a show that's more directed towards adults or teenagers, it would be weird to see like Teletubby, a character design like Teletubby in a show like that. So what is the age? What is the demographic? The demographic is like, so for example, if you're trying to appeal to boys, or if you're trying to appeal to little girls, or if you're trying to appeal to people who like fantasy stuff, if you're trying to appeal to people who like machinery, like mechanic things. What is the demographic? What is the people, what is the audience that you are trying to present your character design to? Okay, and also you have to consider that if it's just personal, oh, someone's drawing my screen. If it's just personal, or is it for someone else? Is it for sale? Is it for a game? Is it for a show? You have to consider the art style. All right, so like if it's just for yourself, you can take it on. You can write their own personalities and stories to it. Is it for someone else? That someone else might give you their requirements. And then maybe you're designing it for a little commission. And then, or maybe you're designing it to sell a design. And then that'll all have different types of styles and different design elements that you want to consider. So let's look at some different elements, different art styles. Different art styles for character design. So first, let's take a look at anime style, right? Anime style, you know, there's a wide range of anime style, but generally, most anime styles from Japan, they're pretty similar to human proportions. Like generally, the head won't get too big, like for a human character design in anime, like the head is just human size. The shoulder length and the hips, they're generally all human proportions. Maybe the head is a little bigger, and then maybe they're a little skinnier than realistic humans for general human anime character. Something for anime is that aesthetics is really important, especially for protagonists. And what that means is, in anime, you want your character to look pretty. And especially your main characters. You want your main characters to look pretty, or you want them to look handsome. Basically, you want them to look appealing to your audiences. So your exaggerations on a human proportions, on a human figure, it has to serve that purpose. It has to serve that purpose. So for example, you want longer legs, or you want larger eyes, and the things like that, you're trying to do that in order to make the characters more physically appealing. Okay, this is another example. Like generally, it's still pretty human proportions, but then whatever exaggerations, like, you know, smaller nose, small mouth, and then relatively big eyes, and then things like that, you're trying to push it so the character looks appealing. And then the reason for that, I'll probably talk about it more later again when we talk about story, but the reason for that is because it's just how the world is. People tend to like pretty people. Like if you look good, you will probably have a smoother life. It's sad, but it's true. And then that's the same with designing characters. If you want your characters to be likable, like at first sight, you want them to look pretty. Usually a pretty looking character, they could have more like empathy. The audience can create more empathy and more connection with them than a really ugly looking character. It is sad, but it's true. And that's just the way the world works. Okay. Again, this is another example, right? Thin waist, slightly wider hips, smaller feet, smaller hands, big eyes, tiny nose, tiny mouth. These are all exaggerations to make a character look more appealing based from the base of a human figure, and also long legs. Okay, video game style. Video game style these days, it's generally in 3D. There are a lot of, I know there are a lot of platform 2D games and video games, but like for the branch of video games that requires a lot of character designs, they're generally in 3D these days. So what that means is when you're making something in 3D, right? When you're making something in 3D, you're kind of making a design and then you're giving it to modelers. You're giving it to 3D modelers to model your design for you. And then like you are gonna give it to riggers, and then riggers are gonna rig your design for you so your design can move it around. And then what that means is basically you have your design, you send it off to a 3D modeler, you have a 3D model of it, and then you can take that 3D model and then you can like just keep using that one single 3D model. You don't have to redraw it like in animation or like in comic books or like in storyboards. You don't have to redraw that character frame by frame or again and again. You have your design, you have your 3D model, and that's good enough. And what that means is you can put a lot more details in these characters than you can with characters that you're going to use for story or characters that you're going to use for animation. Because like if you have a lot of details for characters that you're going to use for animation or for story, for comics, it's going to get a hassle. It's going to become a really big hassle to draw all the details again and again and again. Which is why for video games, when you only draw the characters, when you only design the characters and then you model it once, you can have a lot of details in it. So, and another thing is video games, these days, they are targeted mostly towards slightly older people. Like you wouldn't have video games targeted towards really young children because you don't want them addicted. You will have games and other games, but like these kind of video games are usually targeted towards older audiences, from teenagers to adults, like that, which means that the character designs can be dark, can be darker, can have darker colors, and then they can have darker or like more sinister design elements as well. The character designs in games are quite similar, like the proportions, the way they exaggerate the proportions are quite similar to anime generally. Like they want to exaggerate it so that's more appealing. So for example, like really long legs, look at that, damn. And then small waist, and then things like that. And then pretty face. So maybe they will take it even a little bit more further than anime. So it's still mostly human proportions, but exaggerated to be aesthetically really pleasing. So over here, I talked about how it can have a lot of details, a lot of structure, because you only have to model it once and then you can take it. So if you look at these designs, you'll notice that they do have a lot more details and little things and accessories and textures as compared to the character designs that you'll see in animation, in anime. Okay, and then the design should suit the in-game purpose of the characters I added here. So your character in the game, they can have different purposes. They can have different things, they can have different powers. And then your design should be able to match that, just as how your design should match. If your design is for a story, your design should match the character's personality in the story. Okay, animation style. Animation has a really wide range of styles. A really wide range of just all kinds of different styles. And then like it would be impossible to get to talk about all of them, each one, and then look at all the characteristics of each one. There's a lot of freedom in Western animation, especially. Like for anime, it's also animation, but that's mostly like Japanese, or like Chinese, Korean style animation. And for Western animation, there's a lot of freedom and a huge range, from the little dot eyes and the rubber hose kind of squiggly arms in Adventure Time to Monster High. Because they have these kind of characters, because they could be made into dolls. It's also a marketing device, and the character design fits that. You also have Cuphead, kind of a vintage-ish cartoony style like that. And there's a really wide range. So we can't talk about all of them. So today we're gonna focus on feature animation styles, which is Disney, Pixar, etc., DreamWorks, those kind of styles. So for feature animation studios, feature films means that full-length films. Like they mean that generally, they produce big movies, like over an hour to 2 hour long movies. That's called a feature animation film. And then feature film animation studios these days, the protagonists, honestly, generally, they all fall into a similar style, especially for Disney. Like they all fall into generally a similar kind of character model and design. So they're physically appealing. Again, it's the same reason. You want your characters to look pretty in order for you to like them. It's sad, but it's true. And then But for antagonists and side characters, they have more variety because you don't actually need your audiences to feel too attached to them as much as you want the audiences to feel attached to your main characters. Pixar has more variety, but like generally Disney these days, like if you look at say Rapunzel, and then if you look at say like even just Ariel from the 2D Disney princesses, like the 2D animated films, and then if you look at Rapunzel, if you look at Frozen, if you look at Anna and Elsa, they generally have the same kind of face. Like they just look like they took the same 3D model and then they tweaked it a tiny bit. They generally fall into the same appeal and the same idea with the round eyes, right? You have the round eyes, round big eyes, small nose, thin lips, you know, kind of round but slightly structured face, like that. Like they generally fall into the same style. That's just Disney these days. But for Pixar, they have more variety. They're really geometric, you'll notice, and then they're pretty stylized. Disney is a little softer and a little bit closer to real humans, and then Pixar will push it a little further. Look at these different types of body proportions. Like they're not realistic anymore. They're pretty far away from what we've looked at in anime or in video games or even in Disney style. You're pushing it to serve their purposes and their personalities in the story. You have like really thin characters, really tiny ankles and feet and stuff like that. You know, huge head with Jack, huge head to body ratio, stash. And all these characters, they're really geometric. You can see the shapes in it. You can categorize these characters into like their bodies into different shapes. Even like this, like for example, this is Bing Bong from Inside Out. He's basically like a kind of a soft triangle kind of shape. Like even when he moves around, he's kind of like this blobby triangle kind of shape. And then this is Up. This is our main character from Up. And then him, look at him from like ever since he was young until he's old. He's kind of a rectangle. Like his glasses, his face, even his nose, and then the clothing that he's wearing, and his just general shape is kind of a rectangle shape. And then that also relates to his character. His personality, his character design for the purpose of the story. Okay, Pixar is quite stylized and it's really cute. And like all these designs are really well done. Okay, so something after we look at all these styles, we want to see another thing. We want to get into our own character design, and that's something that you want to consider is your personality. So before I said you have to consider the story, the purpose of your character, and then right now, after you consider your purpose, what is the personality of your character? What is your character's role? So is your character a protagonist? Is it a main character? If your character is a main character, the character that the audience follows around, they kind of need to be visually appealing to be likable, so the audiences can have empathy towards them. So the audiences can look at them for like the first instant, and then they will be able to look at them and say, hey, I like that character. That looks like a character that I want to follow around and watch for the rest of the movie or for the rest of the show. So, you know, it's again, it's sad, but it's true. It's just how the world works. People like pretty people. The antagonist is like generally known as the bad guy. You don't have to be the bad guy, but it's just basically a character that is against your main character. They can be ugly and then they can be uneasy to look at because for them, you kind of want your audiences to also hate them. And it's sad, but when a person is really ugly and then when they look menacing and when they're really uneasy to look at, generally audiences will dislike them. And then we'll perceive them as bad, and then we'll support your main characters more. And then for the side characters, there could be more variety. They could be chubby, they could be tall, they could be short, they could be pretty, they could be ugly. And then there's a lot more freedoms with side characters. It just depends on their personality and then their role in the story. So once you've decided on what the role is for your character, think about their personality. And then a person can have a lot of personalities. Like there could be a lot of personality traits in every individual person. In you, in me, we have different things that we do, different little traits and habits that we have. But for character design, it's pretty useful to try to think of the most dominant characteristic. And then what that means is there's kind of a driving characteristic with them. Like they could have a lot of other personality traits as well, but they could be have like a most dominant one that prevails, that just shows most obviously in the person. They could be really bubbly. They could be like the cheery kind and bubbly kind. They could be always really gloomy, like the donkey in Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Or they can be really smart, or they can be really energetic. It's something that drives, that mostly relates to the story, drives their motives, and then it's the most prominent character trait that if you were to describe this character with one word, that will be the trait that you go to, okay? And then it could also be a very dominant emotion. If this character is often sad, if this character is often very angry, that could also be one of their dominant characteristics. And that would be a dominant emotion that drives their attitude towards situations and towards things. And then something that makes them react to the world, a way they react to the world, the way they're doing it. So how can we express character personality? And then something that we want to do is shape language. Shape language, I don't know if you guys might have seen this, but basically shape language is using lines and then using shapes to deliver a type of emotions and to deliver a type of perception that you want your audience to see with the characters. So for example, usually round shapes and really soft and curved lines are usually perceived to be cute, or they could be perceived to be young or friendly or relatable. Okay, that's usually how it is. And then also for rectangular shapes and more structured shapes, okay, like from the protagonist from Up, the grandpa that we looked at before. It's to express a sense of maybe staticness, of trustworthy, of being stable, of something being kind of more grounded or even more old-fashioned, something like that. And then triangular shapes and then really pointy shapes and pointed edges and sharp lines are more aggressive and they could be more active. And then, for example, in The Incredibles, we see a lot of that in Dash, like his hair, he has pointy hair, and then things like that. Okay, so right now we're gonna go to look at an example. I'm sure you know these two. Most of you guys should know these two characters. They're from My Hero Academia, and it's so obvious, right? Just looking at these two, of their personalities, their general personalities that their designs are expressing. And then it just uses shape language and then also lines, different types of lines really, really well. If you look at Uraraka, this girl here, Uraraka, she has round eyes, a round face, round hair. Her entire suit, hero suit, is very, very round. You can hardly find any sharp edges on her entire body. She's made of curves, and then that is what she is. She's bubbly, she's cute, and then she has a good heart, and then she wants to help the world. Right, and then like that's what she is. She's a bubbly character, and that's the type of shape language that is used on her, and they use on her character design. And then switch to this side, you're looking at Bakugo, and then it's very obvious, right? From his pointy eyes, pointy teeth, pointy smile, pointy hair, and everything is very sharp. And then it's the complete opposite. You can hardly find something soft, a type of soft lines on him. His entire character design is made from these harsh, sharp edges. And then that is also what he is. He has a really aggressive personality. He's pointy. He's aggressive, right? He has a really dominant personality, and then he's kind of in your face about it. And he's really sharp. He's not a bad person, but still, he's aggressive in that sense. And then also another note is the colors, generally more contrast and more aggressive character designs. You have your darks, really darks and lights, and then you use characters that are bold, like red or blue, or a little more dark colors. And then whereas this side is pink and softer. Another example, this is from Mulan, and it's also really obvious, right? For Mulan here, for the style of Mulan, she's soft. Her facial features are soft. Her eyes are almond shaped. Her face is in this soft kind of like round little face. And then even with her body, her hair, everything is kind of streamlined. Very soft lines are used on her. And then like there is still, even though later she goes on and dresses up as a man, these soft lines on her keeps her feminine side. She's still a girl. She's still a woman, and then she these kind of lines and shapes are used on her. Whereas we compare her to the other side, and then we look at Xiao Yun, the bad guy in Mulan, the antagonist in Mulan, and then look at his eyes. Like they're black, they're reverse colored even, and then his eyebrows are sharp. Even his nose. Compare the nose. Ooh, look at Mulan's nose. They're soft, they're small, and then a few soft little curved lines compared to his nose of all sharp edges, and they're all pointy. Same with his mustache, even his lips, right? They're all using pointy and sharp, not very soft lines on him. There's a lot of harsh edges with his entire character design. And then from just looking at it, from their character designs, you can tell that one person is more appealing, and then another person is more aggressive, and then express a sense of evil. You can sense it from him and the lines that are used on him. So we have seen the lines. So these shapes are so important for expressing personalities of different characters. They're really important for each character to stand out from just one glance. This is the concept art from Aladdin. If you look at these, and then this is Aladdin, this is Jasmine, this is the Sultan, and this is Jafar, this is Genie, this is the carpet. They're each really different and they're really distinct from each other. They can all kind of correspond to a general big shape down here. So Aladdin is kind of like this bottle shaped, and then like he's more solid, and then he has more weight at the end around his feet. And the next one, Jasmine. Jasmine is really elegant. She has a tiny waist, and then she's also in this bottle shape, but then she's also pinched in, and then her lines are more curved. Her lines are more curved, and then her general shape is more elegant as compared to Aladdin. But they're quite similar, and then they look nice standing next to each other. And the Sultan is really round, right? He's kind of a ball. He's kind of a ball, and then like he has like kind of two balls combined together. He has a lot of weight at the bottom. And then generally, that also plays into his personality. He's kind of a pretty useless guy. And then he's kind of funny. And the way he walks around on screen in the movie, kind of bouncy. And then Jafar. Jafar is the principal bad guy, but then he's also cunning. He's powerful, and then he has wide shoulders. His shapes gives him really wide shoulders, where the triangle is at. And then like he pinches in his waist, and then you have a little bit more weight at the bottom of his feet too. And then he's also really tall and a general long shape compared to the other characters. It's also to give him a sense of power, a sense of dominance, and then make him seem like a more powerful villain. When your villain seems more powerful, when your protagonist, when your main characters finally beat them, your main character will seem even more powerful. And then we have Genie. Genie is kind of like the opposite of the Sultan. He's floaty, and then he has a lot of his weight in his upper body, right? He's moving around, he's being carried around by his upper body instead of his legs because he's floating around in space like that. He's also round, and he's quite a good character, right? He's in the round shape, and then he's also one of the main characters in Aladdin, and then he's on the good side, and then he's appealing, he has soft lines, and then he has a really welcoming personality like that. And then we have the carpet. The carpet we've already looked at last class. The carpet is mostly just a rectangle, but the carpet is also capable of a lot of expressions in just a little rectangular carpet. It's really interesting. So from all these shapes, even if I just cover the first row and then like let you guys look at the second row, you guys will be able to tell which character is who just based on these simple shapes, these simplified shapes, right? And that's good character design for a story. Each character stands out from each other from just one glance because the shape language for each character is so prominent. So right now, we're going to get to our first exercise. It's going to be a pretty big one. Once you guys finish it, we're just gonna do a few more things, and then that will be the end of the class. But basically, right now, I want you guys to try to complete this in class. If not, like you can maybe make it even better outside of like after class. But I want you guys to try to complete it in class. And then we'll have most of the rest of the class to do it. And then later, I'll talk a little bit about a character rotation. And then we're gonna try to make a character rotation, and then that will be the rest of the class, okay? And then what this is is a shape exercise. So like last class, I gave you guys the choice of 4 different types of lines of motion, and then you guys picked one of these lines to come up with a pose. And then this time is I will give you 4 choices of different shapes. And then you have to use the shapes to come up with a character design that has a personality. You have to pick your personality before you come up with your character design, okay? You can't come up with a character design and be like, I don't know. I don't know what this character is supposed to be. Let me just pick one that might have fit with this character. I want you guys to have a purpose in mind before you actually start designing. So I gave you guys a list of possible personality traits you can pick from. You can pick other ones, but if you do, come check with me first before you pick it. And then over here, I have emo, I have clever, murderous, bubbly, lazy, cold, dramatic, proud, timid, calm, caring, cheerful, pessimistic, elegant, disciplined, peaceful, serious, stupid, rude, gullible. Gullible is like you can lie to them and then they'll believe you. Yeah, really easily. And then greedy, miserable, naughty, sly, weak, tough, or clumsy. Here is a pretty long list and a pretty good list, I would say. And if you guys could pick from it, that would be nice. If you guys don't want to pick from it, that is fine. But again, check with me before. I prefer if you guys didn't pick something very, very generic, like calm. Or like, I know that's in the list, or like just cheerful. Try to push it a little more. If you do pick something more generic, I want you guys still to push the design a little more. This design, I should be able to look at it right away and then say that, oh, I can tell. I could tell what the character is, okay? And then for the shapes, and then your character personality, it should work with the shapes that you picked. So if you're trying to make a really bubbly and cute and soft character, and then you're using all pointy lines and sharp shapes and triangles, then that wouldn't work out very well. And then if you're trying to make a really evil character, murderous character, and then you're using all soft lines, and then you're using all round shapes and bubbly shapes, that also wouldn't work really well. So make sure that the character trait, the personality trait that you're picking, works with the shape that you've picked. Okay, and then you have to decide on that before you start the character design. And that'll be the in-class exercise right now. So shift your attention to the video with my iPad on it. Can you guys see? And then I will label the sets of shapes. So for these shapes, you can arrange them however you want. You can make them bigger or smaller, but make sure it's not just in the part of your character design body. It should be like incorporating the entire body. Like you can tilt the triangle like this. You can make it a shape like this. You can make a shape like this. You can change the sizes. You can rotate it. And then you can rearrange the order of it. You can put this on top and that on top, etc. Okay, these are the sets of shapes that you guys can pick from. I'll send this into the WeChat group, and then I'll also send the list of possible personality traits that you can pick from also in the WeChat group. And then as you guys are doing it, I will be doing it alongside you guys. I'll also be coming up with my character design.
Do we have to use the exact shapes or just like generally?
Try to use the exact shapes.
Okay.
Can the shape still
Yes? Yes?
sorry, I thought I was unmuted. Can the shape still like kind of look like the shape that you gave, even though it's not like exactly?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Okay, I sent both to the WeChat group.
Does the thing have to be like super realistic, or can it just be like a rough sketch?
No, for this case, I'd appreciate if you don't leave it super rough and super messy. I still try to put effort into it, but it doesn't have to be realistic anymore. For this time, we're moving on to character design, and then we can push the proportions.
Okay.
And we can make it exaggerated and everything.
Okay. Thanks.
No problem. Okay, I think I'm gonna work with number 3 here. A tip for drawing character designs: try to draw your character designs in 3/4 front view, because that is the view that you can see the most things. So you can see the front, you can see a little bit of the side, and then you can see the face, and then that's the view that most people use. Question? No? Okay. Later, I'll talk about character rotation. But for now, I suggest you guys try to make your character designs all in 3/4 view. So I arranged my 3 shapes like this. For character design, it's important, you can pose it. So if your character is, you're picking a personality for it, right? And then you can pose the character that fits with the personality of the character. And then when you're posing the character, something that you want to remember is try not to hide anything, even when you're posing it. So for example, if your character is like gloomy or shy like that, and then you want to have their hands in their pockets, not a very wise idea, because later when you want to look at your character design to reference it, you kind of want to see every part of their body. So you don't want to hide the hands. You don't want to hide the hands behind their back or anything like that. Try to, and then also like even if the pose that you want to do that fits with the personality is something that, say, it curls up, and then maybe you have half of the face hidden by the hand. Don't do that. Pose it in a way that we can see the body, but you can pose it as long as it fits with the personality. Actually, in fact, do try and pose it. Do try and pose it instead of just having it very stiffly standing there. You can do animal characters. Right now I'm doing a bunny, but if you're doing animal characters right now, I prefer if you guys kept it anamorphic, which means that they are animal, but they are actually still looking like a human. So for example, like they're still walking on two legs. Yeah.
Teacher,
Mhm.
I kind of ran into a problem. My Apple Pencil is out of battery.
Charge it. Charge it quickly. It charges pretty fast. Charge it for a few minutes and then you can probably draw. Or you can use paper, because in this case, we don't really need you to use iPad. So you can also just use paper. It'll work the same. Mm. I'm kind of making a bunny general. I want her to hold a sword. Right now it's 6:26. In around 6:30, I'll ask you guys to send a little progress in the WeChat group, okay? Something that you might want to consider doing is keeping the legs slightly apart. Again, it's just so that we see more information. Even when we're pushing the proportions, there's still some general rules that we want to keep by. So for example, you want the arms to be symmetrical in most cases, if they're supposed to be symmetrical. So you want to keep their thickness aside, unless one arm is supposed to be something different. But generally, if they're supposed to be symmetrical, watch out for the volumes of it. Okay, you guys have made a little bit of progress.
Miss Emily, I need to go.
Okay. If you need to go, you can catch up with the class later with the video. And also make sure you still do the final homework, okay? Later I'll leave it.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. So if you made some progress, send them over on WeChat so I can make sure that you're not doing anything too wrong so you don't have to start over later.
Emily,
Mhm.
my pencil just finished charging.
Okay, keep going. Did you do anything with paper?
Yeah, I'm not very good at drawing with paper, so.
I honestly suggest you guys to use paper because it's same as starting with learning the realistic human proportions. If you guys start with paper and then going to digital will be easier. Okay, let's take a look. So this one is sent here. This one is pretty cute and the shapes are generally well used. The leg being posed this way, we're kind of missing a little bit of what the pants or like what the clothing and the design is actually supposed to look like. Unless this character never leaves this position with the legs. So, which is fine, but I think later maybe you can draw beside it a little bit of just a little reference of what it's supposed to look like overall. Hold on, keep going. Next one, this one. first off, try to follow the shapes that I've given you. Like right now, I say you can maybe distort the shapes a little bit, but right now this is way too much. If you didn't show me the red lines, I would not be able to tell what shapes you are using, okay? So this, I would suggest you to start over. Okay, this one, again, this design is okay. However, like this shape is used pretty well. The head shape isn't bad, but the lower half, I still want this shape. Right now, you're kind of adding like another rectangular shape to it. Try to use the shapes that I've given you. Because right now, if I were to only look at this, I wouldn't be able to tell what shapes you used. And then second off, what did I say about keeping hands in pockets? I emphasize that. Don't keep hands in pockets. For a character design, we want to see the hands. Okay? We want to see the body. Okay, again for this one, if I didn't look at the shapes that you drew beside it, I would not be able to tell what shapes you're using. Okay? Don't be scared to use the shapes. Don't be scared to push the design more. All right? Like if I know that we, right now, like last class we spent 2 classes learning the rules of a human body, but right now it's time to let go of that. Time to build upon it, or if you prefer to think of it that way. Don't be scared to try and push it more. And for this one, I also suggest you to start over. This one, you're following the shapes pretty well. It's not bad. It's pretty cute. But the thing is, make sure that the structures are still maintained. So I think that these 2 arms are supposed to be the same length, but this one is looking longer than this one, right? One of those kind of problems. The legs like this is okay, but also this leg is smaller than this leg. And then for this cape, if this is a cape, maybe later draw beside it a little version without the cape or what's underneath it. Again, you're not following the shapes that I've given, and then you're adding on, like for the overall design, you're adding on extra shapes that I didn't give you. The proportions are not maintained. And then think of it as a character design. Think of it as a character design that is different, that you want to make something that is unique, okay? Like for this assignment, you can put a lot of creativity into it. You can add a lot of interesting things to it. If you just draw any regular girl as any other regular girl that you've drawn your whole life, then you're kind of missing the point of the assignment and this lesson. This is pretty cute. Well done. Again, the proportions. This arm is a little bit bigger than this one. For the hands, you're showing the hands. That's good. First step is good, but make sure just have the hands extended. Don't have it curled up. For this one, if you gotten rid of the underline, well, you're trying to put a shape to it, but it's not distinct. That's the first part. Like if you took away the shapes, I still wouldn't be able to tell because this still looks more like a triangle, I guess. And then this overall shape looks like a bell instead of the shape that I've given you. That's one thing. Another thing is try to not have your arms or any parts of your body covering too much of the other part of your body. So try to have this extended outward. Try to have the arms apart and then try, at least try, guys. I know hand is really hard, but at least try drawing the hands. At least try.
Miss Emily,
Yep.
is there a way to download the drawings you do on Procreate?
Yeah, there is. I'll show you. I'll show you later. Okay.
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 Because like now I have to take a picture like and
Okay.
then
Okay. So so go on Procreate and then see this little tool like this.
yeah.
Yeah. Tap on it and then over here there's a share and then you can just share a JPEG. And then once you share JPEG, you can just tap save image. And then it'll be saved to your album. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to this one. Overall, the shapes, like it's pretty good. Overall, I think the shapes could match a little bit more of the shapes that I've given you. Overall, you're on the right track. This hand, try to keep it away from the body. You want to see it, don't cover it. This one, again, you're on the right track. The last shape I've given you, try to follow it a little more. I know it's not that obvious. The first two shapes of the upside down triangle, that's fine. You can keep doing that. The arms, try to extend the arms out. Try to not have it covering the body. All right, for this one, I definitely can't tell what shapes you're using. Especially with the first two shapes are okay. Like if I look at it, I could tell. And then for the last shape, I can't at all. So still try to follow the shapes that I've given you. Again, try not to cover the body. I could obviously see that there are details and clothing things that's happening underneath there. Why would you want to cover it? Those are important design elements that we want to see. Have the arms apart, put them aside. And for the hands, hands are hard, but at least try drawing the hands. At least try. Okay. Overall, I think you guys are pretty much like, okay, some of you guys might want to start over, but pretty much you're on the right track. So stop drawing for a minute. Stop drawing for a minute because some people are faster than others, and then I want them to get on to the next thing to do. All right? So stop drawing for a minute, everyone, and listen. So one thing is finishing touches, details. When you're adding details, you have to consider your purpose again. If your character is just for a single illustration, or basically just for like drawing it illustration, or like later you want to put it into a 3D model, you can have quite a lot of details because it's just a single drawing. If you want to use the character for a comic or an animation, keep it as simple as possible because you don't want to screw yourself over by drawing too much details, okay? If you add too much details for something that's just that's for like a consecutive story or for an animation that you want to draw over and over again, you want to keep it simple. If you draw a million details, beads, or like difficult hairstyles, you're screwing yourself over because it's going to be getting really hard later on. So focus on the big things. Too much detail will make them impossible to animate or work with into a full-on comic and will only serve as distractions to the story. Details are fine, but just pick and choose what you want and then your purpose, all right? That's one thing for the finishing touches. And another thing is, if you are done and then if you're happy with your character design and if I told you that you don't need to redo it, okay, make sure that I said okay to it. If I told you to redo it, please don't move on to this step yet. But if you think you're pretty much done and then if I said it's good, then try to make a character rotation. What this is basically so we can see every aspect and every design detail of the character. Every part is considered. And then so that you or someone else can draw this in any other situation or any other direction or story or animation in any other pose, because we know full on what the design looks like from the front, from the back, from the side, and then also the shapes. So draw your character. What a character rotation is, draw a character in front view, 3/4 front. This should be the view that you're kind of starting with. This is like the starting point view, and then you're kind of basing all your other views based on this view. Draw your character from the front, from 3/4 front, from the side, and from 3/4 back. You don't need to draw full on back. All right, and then this is the assignment. And then when you're doing this, something that you're doing this, so in the previous classes, in the first class, we've done a little rotation of the realistic human figure, right? I told you guys to try drawing it in a side view and in a 3/4 view. And then when we're doing that, I emphasize that you really have to maintain the proportions. It means that when Timmy is standing in front of you, you're looking at Timmy from the front, and then you take a few steps, and then you're looking at Timmy from the side. Timmy's head will not get any bigger just because you're looking at Timmy from the side. Timmy's arm will not be any longer just because you're now looking at Timmy from the side compared to the front, okay? And then that's something to keep in mind when you're doing a character rotation as well. When you are rotating a character, every single part of the character, the size and the volume of it should stay the same. If you look at this character example here, the cone on top of her head, it remains the same size and the same height. The head remains the same size and the same height. And just view that from different angles. The arm is the same length. It stops at the same place if you drag a line towards it. Something that will help you with doing a character rotation is actually laying out your first base drawing. It should probably, most likely, preferably be the 3/4 front view, and then drawing little straight lines, horizontal lines across at landmarks where it could keep your volume and size consistent. For example, the top of the head, you might want to draw a line, a long line that keeps a landmark there. And then the bottom of the head, like this. You might want to draw a line that just keeps it consistent throughout the entire drawing. Or the bottom of the feet or the knee, or honestly anywhere that you think you want a landmark. You want to maybe just draw a straight horizontal line across it to help yourself. And then that's a good thing to do. And to keep things consistent, everybody do it. It's really, really hard to just eye it, just do it by eye, and then just try to keep everything consistent, okay? This is why we rely on things like a ruler or math to keep things right. All right? Okay, so you guys can get on to that if you're done. If you're not done, the first character design, if I told you to redo it or if I told you to fix something, do that first. Don't get on this before you actually finalized your character design. You're in the 3/4 view, okay?
Miss Emily,
Yep.
should I do another one with because the first one you said parts of the clothing was covered?
Mm-hmm.
And should I just do another one that's like not covered?
Depends on you. You can do a new design. You can fix your previous one.
Okay.
Yeah, depends on you, okay?
Can you check mine?
Yep. What's your name? On WeChat? Pardon me?
Arissa?
Marissa? Okay, I'll check it. I got a few more, so I'll just check it right now. Oh, line. For this one, I can't tell what shapes you're using. Angela, is it? Yeah, I can't tell what shapes you're using. That's one really big thing. That's the main thing. Okay, so you might want to fix it so that the shape language is more prominent. Or you want to maybe restart it, or you want to fix this one. Either way is okay. This one, the shapes are pretty well done. The shapes are very obvious. And this cute character. I think this hand, if you think about putting it down, it will be a lot longer than this one. So make sure you decide on which length you actually want. All right. Overall, the shape is not bad. I think you can try clean it up a little and adding a little more detail, and then you can get on with a character rotation with it. Did I look at this one before? Is this the new one? I see you're using the second one that I give with the shapes. Okay, a few things. So even when we're pushing the proportions, we want the structure to be maintained. So if we draw the lines, you'll notice that, okay, the eyes and the eyebrows are actually pretty consistent with each other, which means that I think that the face is kind of tilting this way, right? It's not a face that's facing the front, it's a face that's a bit tilted. But if I connect a line with the mouth, this line is not parallel to these lines, which makes it seem that like the face, something is off with it. So it's not like it's, so it seems like maybe you want the head to not be tilted, but you ended up drawing it tilted by mistake. So make sure you fix that. Also, this arm looks bigger than this arm. When in the 3/4 view, there is overlap. Okay. But on a small scale, there's not a lot of size changes. I know that you'll think whatever is in front will be a little bigger, that is right. But for character design, it's only a really small scale. There's not a lot of perspective in it. Same with the legs. You can add a bit more detail to it as well. For this one, I told you, I reviewed it before, and I told you that the problem isn't that legs are underneath the dress, but that overall your design did not focus on the shapes, and I can't really tell what shapes you're using. The problem isn't that you have legs underneath the dress, but because the legs does not work with the shapes that I've given you and the shape language, okay? This one as well, if I don't look at what's the shapes that you drew beside it, I would not be able to tell at all what shapes you picked. So I suggest you restart on this one. All right, again, don't be scared to make your character design a little bit more cartoony. Don't be scared to push the design elements a little more. The whole purpose of this is to maybe break out of your comfort zone a little and then try to use the shapes to design the character. If you're just drawing any other boy, anime girl, a person, anime boy that you've drawn before, then that's kind of missing the point of our learning outcomes of this lesson. For this one, try to put a little more effort into it. You're following the shapes not bad. Try to put a little bit more effort into it. And then I can't tell how this person functions, basically. I can't really tell how this character walks or moves or interacts in a story. Like, I can't imagine. And also, I can't tell the personality of it with the face. All right, try to put a little more effort into this. Okay, this one's pretty cute. You're following the shapes pretty well. Try to have the arms extended a little, at least one of the arms, have it extended outward. Like just maybe have it extended, flipped outward towards the outer side of the body. The legs, you are pretty much following this shape. I think you follow it a little more. Overall, it's pretty good. You're getting the concept. I think once you fix that, you can also try doing a little character rotation of it. Good. You can also try doing a character rotation of it. The feet, maybe put a little more effort in the feet. Right now, it just looks like all of these is completed, and then you just have an incomplete feet here. Feet is hard, but like, put a little more effort into it. It's good. Okay, this one, first things first, you have a prop that's covering the body. If you have a prop, don't have it cover the character design. So I also have a prop. I have a sword here, and it's outside of the body. It's a part of the character design, but it's not covering the design elements of the body, okay?
Excuse me, Emily. Do you know how to increase the canvas size? Because I kind of ran out of space.
Yeah, okay, so go to your canvas here. See the little toolbar?
Yeah?
Yeah, go to canvas.
Canvas.
And then crop and resize.
Okay, crop and resize. Oh, okay, thank you, Emily.
No problem. Okay, for this one, so first things, your prop is not following you. You're kind of drawing a baby character, and that's fine. you're not really following the shapes, okay? Follow the shapes a little more. Just sneeze. Ugh. Okay, this one, not bad. Even in character designs, there are designs that will make it look more comfortable if you actually followed a little more of the rules, such as you're kind of missing a bit of the head. Like this one, even if you're pushing it, I still think the head could be a little bigger. The head part, like not the face part. Just a little bigger. Again, this pose is fine. This pose is fine, but like, I actually think that you can maybe put one arm down here just so we can see what the arm looks like lowered, like in a slightly more relaxed position, you know, in a shape like that. That's okay. All right. And then one thing I'm slightly confused by is that it looks like this guy has a lot of muscles, but this looks like he has like a beer belly. Yeah. So, you know, try to consider like pinching in the waist a little more. Okay. Okay, it's pretty cute. You're following the shapes pretty well. She's kind of falling forward a little bit. Do you see it? Again, the center of the head, draw a straight line down. Is it between the legs? If it's not, she's falling forward a little bit. What you can do is you can keep the body leaning forward. You just might want to push the head a little back, or you want to push, or if you don't want to push the head back, you want to push the body a little forward. Generally, the shapes are well done. The character is cute. I think you could maybe compress the body a little bit so the character looks a little cuter. And then once you fix that, I think you can also start working on a little character rotation. This part will be a little hard to rotate, so be careful with it. All right, we have 3 more minutes left. So I'm going to talk about what the homework is. The homework is first, finish up your character design. And then if I didn't approve it, if I said you need to redo it, or there's a lot of like, if you didn't follow the shapes, make sure you check your character design with me first, okay? Send it in WeChat with me first, check it with me first, and then try to make a little character rotation. It's quite a big homework. Sit down, take some time with it. All right, but first I have to approve of your design first before you move on to the character rotation. All right, if I didn't approve of it first, you might just do a whole character rotation with a character that I didn't approve, and then you'll be missing the point of the assignment, and then you'll spend so much time doing something that is not right. All right, so make sure you give it to me to approve first, and then work on the character rotation: front, 3/4, side, and then 3/4 back. All right, and then one thing is, next class, we're gonna get on to story. So I already told you guys to think of a dominant personality trait for your character. And then right now, you can also think a little bit about more about your character's personality. Think a little bit about their background, of why their personality turned out to be the way they are, right? Family, friends, others involved in your character's story. What are their personalities? Why are their personalities like the way they are? What shaped them? What shaped their personalities? What shaped their traits? And then what are some of their most valuable, important morals, values, beliefs, and motivations? What is their goal? What is their driving motivation for their life, for their story? Why and how are they formed? So just think about it. All right, and then because we'll be talking about stories next class, and then it will be nice if we can share a little bit about our own characters and then the stories that we've created for it. So quite a lot of homework this week. And then still, I want to emphasize that please check with me your character design first before you get into the character rotation. All right?
I redrew it a
bit, so can you check it for me?
Okay.
I also redrew it, so could you check it?
Yep. Is it Arissa?
Yes.
So you still didn't fix what I said with the face structure, I guess. You fixed the mouth. Okay, I guess it's better. But it's just that when your face is tilted like this, it's harder to rotate. Okay, that's just something for yourself to keep in mind later when you rotate it. You didn't fix the hand yet.
Emily,
You fixed the legs.
I accidentally drew a 3/4 view instead of like the front view.
That's good. You're supposed to. I'd prefer actually if you started with a 3/4 view. 3/4 view is fine.
Miss Emily, could you check mine? I also put mine in the WeChat.
What's your name?
Claire, but my WeChat name is Chrissy.
Okay.
Is my
Is it this one?
Yeah.
One thing is there's a ton of details on it, okay? It will be really, really hard to rotate. The shapes are looking better than before, but it's just maybe consider having less details. It's just for yourself because we want to keep even the details, we want to keep consistent when rotating. And then when you're trying to rotate it, you have to take care of every single little leaf and make sure they're in the right position, right? That'll be really hard for you. But overall, I think you fixed the shapes a lot better.
Okay, thank you.
So is my art approved? Can I move on or not?
Pardon me?
Is my artwork approved? So
What's your name?
Arissa?
Arissa, okay, fix the last few things. I kind of want you to add a little bit more detail into it. Right now, the character design seems really simple. Add maybe like pockets and things like that. Try to add a little bit more of it. And then, yeah, I think you can start rotating it. Okay? All right, class.
I'm not sure if mine is approved either.
What's your name?
I don't know.
What's your name on WeChat?
I don't know what it is.
Okay, what does your okay, maybe like send another picture in WeChat and then like later on, and then I'll just say if it's okay. Okay?
Oh wait, no, it has a red dolphin with water behind it.
Is a red dolphin? Oh, okay, this one. Okay, so this one I talked about it a few times. So one thing is you try to follow the shapes. Honestly, the upper body, you're kind of following the shapes, not that bad. And then like the later one, I know the little one, did you take her hand out of the pocket? If you did, honestly, you can just make the dress a little longer because right now I still don't think the leg fits within the shapes. So I'm still wanting to fix it.
Yeah.
Okay?
There's a later one.
Yeah, you did send a later one, but still the legs, I remember it didn't fit. Where's the later one? Sorry, give me a minute.